Nobody saw this coming. Not Washington, not Tehran, not the analysts on CNN, not the experts at the think tanks in London and Brussels who have been wrong about this war since day one. The country that just stepped forward to potentially stop the most dangerous conflict of the 21st century is not France. It is not China. It is not the United Nations. It is Pakistan. And today, March 25th, 2026, Islamabad is sitting at the center of the entire world. So before you scroll past this video, I want you to understand one thing. What Pakistan just did is not just a diplomatic gesture. It is a move that could change Pakistan's place in the world forever, and almost nobody is talking about what it actually means. Let's start with the phone calls, because this story begins not with a press conference or a tweet, but with two very quiet, very deliberate phone calls. On Sunday, March 23rd, Pakistan's Army Chief Field Marshal Asim Munir picked up the phone and called Donald Trump. The call was confirmed by the White House, not the Prime Minister, the Army Chief, calling the President of the United States directly. Think about what that tells you about the relationship these two men have built. U.S. Envoy Steve Witkoff has a direct connection to Field Marshal Munir. They have a good working relationship. Trump himself has called Munir a great general and a great guy. This is not protocol. This is personal trust, the kind that takes years to build and that moves mountains when a crisis hits. Then, the very next day, Monday, March 24th, Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif called Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian. In one 48-hour window, Pakistan's two most powerful figures had direct conversations with both the American president and the Iranian president. Let me put that in perspective. The United States and Iran have not had formal diplomatic relations since 1979, 47 years. Most countries on earth cannot get a call back from one of these governments right now. Pakistan got both in 2 days. And then Sharif posted something that made the entire diplomatic world stop scrolling. He wrote on X, "Pakistan stands ready and honored to be the host to facilitate meaningful and conclusive talks for a comprehensive settlement of the ongoing conflict." Trump saw that post, and Trump, the President of the United States, reshared it on his own platform. A sitting American president amplifying a Pakistani PM's peace offer in the middle of a war. That is not nothing. That is a green light. Now, why Pakistan? Why does this country of all countries get the phone calls that nobody else gets? The answer has three parts, and each one is more interesting than the last. First, Pakistan has no American military bases on its soil. Iran has been firing missiles at every country hosting U.S. bases. Saudi Arabia hit, UAE hit, Jordan hit, Qatar hit, but Pakistan? Clean. That makes Pakistan one of the only U.S.-aligned nations that Iran has not attacked. And that gives Islamabad a neutrality that no Gulf state can claim right now. Second, Pakistan's embassy in Washington has been hosting Iran's diplomatic mission since 1979. For 47 years, whenever America and Iran needed to pass even the smallest message to each other, a visa issue, a detained citizen, a quiet warning, that message went through Pakistan's embassy. This is not a new relationship. This is nearly 5 decades of being the only functioning communication channel between two countries that officially pretend the other doesn't exist. That kind of institutional trust cannot be manufactured overnight. It was built one quiet conversation at a time across half a century. Third, Pakistan is home to the world's second largest Shia Muslim population after Iran itself. When the US and Israel killed Iran's supreme leader on February 28th, Pakistan erupted in protests from Karachi to Lahore. The Pakistani people feel this war personally. Iran's new supreme leader, Mujtaba Khamenei, in one of his first statements, said he has a special feeling toward the people of Pakistan. That is an extraordinary thing for an Iranian supreme leader to say publicly. It means Iran trusts Pakistan, not just diplomatically, but emotionally. And in the middle of a war, emotional trust is sometimes the only currency that matters. NBC News confirmed all of this. 4 sources told them Pakistan is acting as a go-between, with 2 sources saying an in-person meeting could happen in Islamabad within days. A Gulf official confirmed Pakistan had been passing messages between Washington and Tehran for at least 48 hours. And the formats being discussed? One option. Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi sitting across the table from U.S. Envoy Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner in Islamabad. The other option, U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance meeting Iran's parliament speaker Mohammad Bagher Ghalibaf face-to-face. Ukraine-form J.D. Vance in Islamabad. Think about that. The second most powerful person in America potentially landing in Pakistan to try to stop a war. If talks happen, analysts say it could raise Pakistan's global prominence to heights not reached since Islamabad helped broker the secret diplomatic opening that led to President Nixon's historic visit to China in 1972. Kyiv, independent Nixon, China, 1972. That is the comparison experts are making. Because that moment, when Pakistan quietly facilitated the meeting that changed the Cold War forever, is exactly the energy of what is happening right now. Pakistan has been here before. It knows how to move quietly, how to carry messages without leaking them, how to be trusted by enemies who cannot trust each other. Now, will the talks actually happen? Here is where we have to be honest. Iran publicly denied any direct talks with the US, but crucially, Iran's foreign ministry confirmed it received messages via certain friendly states conveying the US request for negotiations. That is a massive admission dressed up as a denial. Iran is saying, yes, we received messages. We just haven't agreed to sit down yet. That gap between receiving messages and agreeing to meet is exactly where Pakistan is operating right now, trying to close it. A Middle East diplomat briefed on the situation said diplomacy is in full swing, but that there are multiple proposals and nothing has been confirmed, and the stakes of failure are just as high as the stakes of success. Pakistan shares a border with Iran. There are 6 million Pakistani expats in the Middle East, most in Saudi Arabia and the UAE, who account for over 54% of Pakistan's overseas remittances. Every week this war continues, Pakistan bleeds, remittances slow. Energy prices spike. The risk of the war spilling across the border grows. Pakistan is not mediating this conflict out of pure altruism. It is mediating because its economy, its diaspora, and its national security are all directly on the line. Here's the bottom line. Pakistan just made one of the most audacious diplomatic moves of the 21st century. In a war where every other country has either picked a side or stepped back in fear, Pakistan stepped forward. It picked up the phone when nobody else could. It offered its capital when every other venue was too dangerous or too compromised. And it did it all quietly, methodically, and effectively, the same way it has been doing it since 1979. The world is watching Islamabad right now. Bloomberg, NBC, Al Jazeera, Financial Times, NPR. They are all writing the same story today. And the story is this. The country that could end World War III is not a superpower. It is not a permanent member of the UN Security Council. It is Pakistan. And nobody saw it coming.